Greetings, disruptors. We are live today. And let me ask you, sis, how can you build a freedom-based business when you're still in survival mode? If
Mm.
softness feels out of reach and you're running on fumes, this episode is your wake-up call. We are live with Rashidat today, your dream strategist. So, Rashidat, let me ask you, how do you show up in the world?
Girl, my whole goal is to show up, allowing myself to be my fullest self without trying to tell myself, I need to, I have to be better. I have to be my A plus self. I have to make sure my hair is this or my this is that. Like we make all of those pressures for ourselves. When
Yeah.
listen, sometimes I show up and the tears is flowing, the emotions are happening, and life is lifing, but I think the biggest part of what we'll get into, at least for me, for soft life,
Yeah.
is that we don't have to show up any specific way. We just get to be ourselves if we actually allow ourselves to do that. But there's been so much internalized pressure from outside that we're not allowed to do that. But
Mm,
our freedom actually starts with us allowing our taking that back and allowing ourselves to do that.
Now I heard a little bit of you, then I heard a little bit of them.
Mm-hmm.
What what brought you here?
Honestly, I got tired of doing what I thought I should do. I like to call it the shoulds. I thought that I should get a nice job, even though I woke up every day and I hated it. I mean,
Mm,
I had a degree in it, and I had a career in that degree. Thank God, because not all of us do that. So I should be happy, right? I had a nice condo that I paid for, so I should be happy, right? I got a nice car, so I should be happy, right? But then I woke up and I wanted more. And I
mm,
felt bad for feeling like, well, how the hell can I want more when I have all of these amazing things? And it's really interesting because you're seeing other people who are rich that have so many things. Because a lot of times we think we just need more money, but you seeing people like Kerry Washington, Zoe Saldana, Jada Pinkett coming out talking about how they had all of these things, but yet there was this part of us that still wanted more. And I had that same yearning. And I was like, I paid off my last student loan payment. I was finally debt free. And I said, oh, hold up. I don't have to do this stuff that I should anymore because
yeah.
I don't need all this money anymore. So if I don't need it, what would I do? And at that point, I didn't have an answer. And that scared the living crap out of me. Like, how
Mm,
could I not have an answer? And it was like my dreams had dried up because I had gotten so
ooh,
used to just doing the next best thing or what I thought I should do. And so I quit my job and I traveled the world for 3 years and I got reconnected to me. And that's
ooh.
what led me here.
Oh my God, girl. My dreams had dried up. That's a
Mm-hmm.
word and a
Mm.
third. You quit your job and you traveled the world for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know more about that. Like, how did that happen? I want you to pull your mic up a little bit more to closer to you. Thank you.
So that's okay.
And wow, tell us more because we want to know because that sounds like soft life to me.
Well, I have to say, there was a part of it that if I were to do it again, I would do it differently. But at that point, what I did was I decided to become a missionary and I went to 15 countries over 3 years. Um, and while that journey was, a missionary is supposed to go telling everybody about the love of Jesus, it was really my opportunity to connect back to who God created me to be and really seeing how he wanted me to show up.
Girl,
And
you preaching. Go ahead.
look, take all of that off, all of the things that, listen, so many things that put on us how we should be and show up. And so it was connecting back to that. And it was beautiful. He set up this. I talk about Jesus like he right here, because as far as I'm concerned, he is right here.
Hello.
So right. So he set up this beautiful adventure for us because one of the things I felt was missing or what I wanted in that idea of more was less monotony and more actually getting out of my comfort zone. You get up and you go to work every day. I'm not saying that's bad, but you have to balance that with challenging yourself and doing more than just making work or making money the most important thing. And so, yeah, he made that the whole thing. I mean, getting out and putting myself out there. I went to Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, the Philippines, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Malawi,
Wow.
Ukraine, Albania, Spain, Romania, and India over those 3 years. Different cultures, different experiences, but the core of it, the thread that was everything was how are you going to show up regardless how other people see you? And that's such a deep conversation for us as women, and especially for us as Black women.
Absolutely. And what did you find? How were you going to show up?
I found that most of those things that I thought or that someone had told me were things that I should shy away from. Like, I am a direct person. Or also too, not even that I'm just direct, but also this very empathetic. And I'm not going to show up and tell you XYZ if I'm not doing it to actually help you, or not feeling. This is the other thing. A big thing that shifted. I think a lot of times, especially for us as Black women, when we step into a room, we bring such an aura, and we've been told we shouldn't fill up that room. So I had gotten used to shrinking,
Right.
and it was putting me in spaces where not only was the shrinking not helpful, like literally it was needed for me to blow out, like shine as bright as possible. And again, it's not those things that I don't believe were taught as children. Nobody comes up to you and say, hey, you need to shrink. But you start to feel that when you show up in rooms, like there's things pressing back against you, and all of those things opened up. So I
Yeah.
got into things like personality tests. Girl, I love me a personality test. Myers Briggs, um, Enneagram, DISC, Colby, even some other things, getting clear on my values, on my why. What I do this in my program where I help my clients get really clear on what are the 3 things you want people to know, like when they interact with you. What are
Mm,
those characteristics? And all of those things, when you have them, we all kind of know those things. They're kind of this smoke ether in the back of our mind. But when you pull them out and you
mhm.
put words to them, they become tangible tools, they become tangible power that you
Yeah.
get to use. And that's what allowed me to come, that really came out in my journey. So the 3 words that I like people to know when they get to know me: I'm an encourager. You not gonna feel like somebody's over here asking you to be less. Not when I'm around.
I love it.
For 2, wisdom, but wisdom in the fact that, in the idea that, listen, I have tried many things and I've made tons of mistakes. I'm not saying wisdom as if I got everything figured out, but wisdom as if I'm willing to try and I will learn from it and grow from it on the other side.
Like
And
that.
then a dreamer. Let's see potential in everything in the world and not just see it, go after it. Because a lot of us sometimes see it. Some of us don't even see it. But I think sometimes we see it and we don't go after it. So those are the 3 things that I want to show up as when I see people, or when I come across people.
This is so good, girl. I'm over here taking notes. Um, love this for you, to know that and to be able to um be concise with it, right? Encourager,
Mhm.
wisdom, dreamer. This makes me think about Clifton's strengths. And my one of mine is woo.
Mm.
And my best friend always says to me, "Oh, I see you got your woo on." It happens, I don't even know what's happening, right?
Mhm.
It's just who you are. I love this so freaking much for you. 15 doggone countries. Out of the 15, like what did you take away from your favorites? And which one was maybe your least?
My list was Zambia. It's funny enough, I can say that pretty easily. There was a lot of, especially in Christianity, a lot of misogyny around women being able to show up and be their full selves. And as a missionary, I was asked to be a leader. So
Mm,
this quote unquote Christian organization that we're working with in this country, the leader didn't believe that women should be leaders, but I'm the leader. Talk about tension. Yeah, that was not my favorite country.
mm,
And I would say I have a couple. Romania was not my favorite either, but it was my best experience with Jesus, and that I had you know how, I don't know if you've ever seen Inside Out, but at the end where they look at the emotion ball, one side there's joy and the other side there's sadness. So in the midst of a sad situation, I still had an amazing experience with Jesus. I had someone sexually assault me, and I was like, how the hell am I going to process this as a missionary? Because everything in me wants to go chop this person in the throat. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
And seeing my experience, so what I seeing how he made space, Jesus made space for me to respond in that, made space for my pain without justifying the terrible thing that that person did for me, but also making space for me to heal and get what I need out of it without rushing me through it or making me heal faster or any of those things. And I think, again, especially us as women, as Black women, we're not always given that space. And so I always like, it's one of those things that I like to give to other women as well, because we're not always given that space to, I'm angry right now. I want to give us that space to have that anger, to process that, to be a part of that, and not make you feel like you have to be or do anything in this moment, but actually allow those emotions to be.
girl, I love this so much for you. I'm sorry that that happened to you. What came into my mind around that is making beauty for ashes, right?
Mm,
Right, making
yeah.
beauty from the ashes, and it's such a powerful testimony how even though in that the room was made for you, you said some other things that speak to me too about so one of my missions and is as a disruptor is not maintaining the status quo because that's what got
Mm-hmm.
us here. And that's
Mm-hmm.
definitely centered around how women are taught who they are before they even know who they are and
Mm-hmm.
playing these roles and things of that nature. Your life speaks to so much freedom
Mm-hmm.
um, that you allowed yourself. So I'm known as a disruptor coach, and I feel like I know the answer, and you may have said it, but I'm going to ask this question anyway because there may be some other layers there. What did the disruptor in you have to disrupt?
Hmm. Oh, I love that question. Let me say it again. What did the disruptor in me have to disrupt? I think when I think back to the disruption that I had to start, I had to change my mind in believing that the things I was told were right. Like,
Mm,
we're always, mm, we're built to trust what someone else has told us for whatever reason. Um, and I think as a Black woman specifically, we're maybe a little bit more like, oh, I've been lied to before. I've seen other people lied to, but I still, even within us as Black women, because we have internalized it from generation to generation before, we even still have to question some of the things that we tell each other.
sure.
And so I had to keep questioning, and I had to be okay when it made other people upset that I was questioning, like you said, that status quo. Because it when you question that status quo, it makes other people upset. And so even things like, okay, I bought a condo, but then I was like, I actually don't want this. I think I want to do something different. I actually don't think I want to have kids. actually, these things that people have said, these are the things that validate who I am.
Mhm. In
Actually,
the
like,
American way.
right. I had to, these are the things that I had to disrupt in myself and have to come back to myself and say, what do I actually value in me? What do I want to show up as? And I mean, I'm quirky. I know I am, and I'm not sad about it. Either you love me or you don't. I like tiny houses. I don't want to be the person who has to be in the
Yeah.
same place all the time. You know what I mean? Like all of these things that are quirky about me. I'm transitioning vegan. Listen, when I go on vacation, I like to books and bathing suits are all I like to have in my bag. You know, these are the kind of things that depending on your vibe, you're like, but why? Like, you should want this, you should want that. But should I really? Or is that just what someone told you you should want?
Right. Who said that? Right.
Right. So that's what the disruption. Yes, that's why I love the whole name. I was like, oh yes, please let me come have a conversation with you.
I'm so glad you're here having this conversation. This is just lovely, darling. Just lovely. So we talked about the least favorite countries and what happened in the midst of some of the pain. What were some of your favorites or
uh,
one?
I would say Malawi was definitely one of my favorite. Malawi has a beautiful lake, and I can't swim worth a lick, but I enjoy getting out on the water. I enjoyed the people. I actually went back to Malawi 2 or 3 more times afterwards, and I started a nonprofit. Didn't end up panning out, but still a country that as I know that I will connect to my business and serve there later. And their mission around serving women
Yeah.
was really beautiful there. Also, too, while I was there, the power went out this one time,
Hmm.
and there was no light pollution, no car pollution, and I never saw so many stars in my life.
Hmm.
It was one of the most beautiful experiences, and we as like a squad, like a group, went outside and start singing to the Lord. Man, a
Oh,
beautiful experience under the
I
stars.
love that.
Yeah, and
Have
a beautiful.
have you captured these experiences? Like, can we find somewhere your journey and your experience? What did you do with that?
So I do have a blog from that time. It is not on my current website. It is on the missions website. And I've always thought about like figuring out how I could repurpose it because I also had to do, again, dealing with racism quite a bit on that trip. I think I wrote 2 blogs a week for at least a year. So there's so much content on there. I haven't repurposed it. That is at Rashidat Odeyemi worldrace.org. I believe that. I will double check and make sure, but I believe that's the link where that blog is.
I love that. So many questions, girl. Was so when you left to go on the mission, was that already a part of your life, or was that the avenue for you to go and travel for all those years?
So I had been a traveler since I was 6 years old. My mother believed in travel. I remember my first trip. We took a flight from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to New Mexico because my sister was being transferred to Japan to serve in the military, and she gave my mom her car. And this is gonna age me a little bit, but this is when I learned how to navigate. And my mom gave me a triptych. You remember the triptych back from AAA?
Yeah.
Before we had navigation on our phone, and I was able to navigate my mom back from New Mexico the long way back to Pittsburgh.
At
So
six?
traveling, yeah, my mom didn't play. She like, listen, girl,
I
figure it
know
out.
that's right. Yeah.
Yes. And so that was like my first big trip. And then the trips continued. I would say the missions trip specifically, because even though I had continued to travel, the missions trip was really that more about that relationship with Jesus than anything else. But the countries gave a different backdrop. that
Yeah.
brought out a different part of our relationship in every part that I went to. Not to mention before that, the big journey that he and I did together were doing the debt snowball, paying off all of my debt. And then after that, my big adventure has been building this business with him. So he keeps Jesus keeps the adventure in our relationship.
Well, that's why it's called a journey, right? That's
Right?
why it's called a journey. I love this so much for you. I'm familiar with Dave Ramsey's debt snowball. I've paid off debt twice. I'm student loan debt free. So many commonalities here. I'm in love with you already. Um, the other thing that comes in my mind around this, you said so much. It was so freaking rich. Do you have a book? Did you write a book? You got this blog that you,
No, I
because I
haven't,
believe
but I've
that's your
thought
next,
about it.
that is definitely your book right there. You already wrote it,
Yeah, that's true.
right?
That's true.
I
Mm-hmm.
love, love, love that. And then the beauty of being in that power outage, because was that during the pandemic? Oh,
No, it was before. So that was 2017.
and you said like no light fog and all of that because
Mm-hmm.
why? I've never been to Malaysia, but now I definitely want to go and see the beauty through your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And was what was that? Because are they what considered like a third world country? Is that
Yes.
it? Ah,
Mm-hmm.
okay. I'm not totally up on my geography, and I know you're known as the dream strategist, and you made me recall one of my dreams as you were
Mm-hmm.
talking about this, which is I want to travel the world and see how other Christians live.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting to experience a little bit of that through you while you're here. This is
Yeah.
so beautiful. Was there another favorite country?
That was, I mean, I have other favorite countries that are not during that trip specifically, even though Spain was really nice as well. We went to a little mountain town off the southern coast of Spain where you could actually see Morocco on a clear day. It's called Mijas Pueblo.
Mm,
Um, a really beautiful little town, so many great little restaurants up there, like an old cultural experience, which was nice. My favorite country in the whole world is Aruba. I love 90 degrees and a breeze all year round. One day when I'm tired of living in the States, I'm going to pack up my tiny house that I know I'll have by that point, put it on a barge, and send it to Aruba. And that's where I'm going to make home for the rest of my time. So,
I love this
yes.
so much. I love Aruba, girl. I rented a car and went all over Aruba in
Yes.
a day, right? And it was such an adventure. I love this for you. Um, what did you love so much about Aruba?
I think the calmness of it, the weather for sure. There is something about palm trees for me. Like I'm actually home based in Charlotte right now, but I'm in Long Beach at this moment. And just literally seeing palm trees and water open and
Mm,
sunshine, like it's like solar powered to me. So it's been just refreshing to always and so you add that to Aruba, you add all the black people. I still need to go back and like just and the depth of the water being so clean, but it's shallow, but it's warm because I don't know how to swim. It just allowed me to enjoy so many different parts of it
yeah.
that rest was more than being there. It was like something that welled up in me because you don't feel the same atmosphere there than you feel here, and I just think it's
Mm.
beautiful.
I love that you take me back there in sharing that because I rode the bus while we were there all with all of the locals. That's how I like to experience when I travel, that I'm experiencing it from the eyes of a local, not
Yeah.
tourists, because I want to put money into their hands.
Yes.
I love this so much for you. And it makes me think about what their slogan was, don't worry, be happy, right?
Yes. Yes. They also said the 90 degrees and a breeze all year round. I have never forgot that.
Oh, I never heard that one. I never
Yeah.
heard that one. That is so fantastic. I love this. And I ask so many questions about that because I feel like when people mention the soft life, that is a big part of it, travel and the level of transformation that takes place when you're able to travel and get away from your current realities, right? How do you define soft life? What is that? I don't even know what it is, but that's kind of what I sense when I hear that.
Yeah. So there's been this movement that makes it a lot about like some of the tangible things like being able to take spa days more often and being able to enjoy luxury and travel. And while I believe those things are a manifestation of your ability to receive that kind of lifestyle, I really do. For me, a soft life starts in your mind. If you're the person that wakes up and feels like I can't leave my job, they'll fall apart, or my husband can't take care of my kids without me, like, well, how could I go on a vacation by myself, or I have to work 10 times harder at work to prove myself. If you have any of those mindsets, you're not even going to allow yourself to think that you can do any of those other things. And so
Mm-hmm.
that soft life has to start in your mindset before you can get those manifestations of the luxury, the space, and all of those things. Otherwise, you just gonna keep telling yourself you got to go to work.
Girl, those are bars. Soft life
Right?
starts in your mind. Woo!
Come on.
That's a whole word in the third, in the words of Pinky Cole. That's a whole word in the third. Oh my goodness. Um, wow, wow, wow. So how did Dream Strategists come about?
Yes. So remember how I said, okay, I got to that point where it felt like my dreams had dried up, because at that point I had still done a lot of things. Like I said, I had um, taken my first trip across the country. I
Yeah,
had bought a car. I had my own condo. I had gone to, at that point, I had already done 9 countries before the 15 that I've told you about. I had studied abroad in Rome. Like I had literally done so many things already, and
yeah,
yet it felt like my dreams had dried up. And it was really trying to change this context of, well, what does it mean? Like, what happens when you have done everything on your list? Like, does the
wow.
list restart? Like, what comes next? Like, how do you do this? And not just that, I also, while I did a lot of things, I have to be honest with myself and honest with y'all and say that I bulldozed my way through doing some of those things. Some of those things I would actually like to do over, because my experience would be different with the different mindset that I have now. Like I said, if
Mm,
you go on a vacation and all you could think about is everybody else, like all the work that's going to be there when you get
oh,
back, and you can't
yeah.
fully enjoy
You
it,
got robbed. Yeah.
you didn't get a vacation, you didn't get the rest that you actually deserve. And so I was like, okay, I got to do this a little different. And I love that you talked about strength finders, because my top one is strategy. I love to, people think I'm a planner. It's not a plan so much as I have a couple milestones that I know we need to hit, and based on how things are going, this, we could talk about how those pieces come together. And that's also, I think, what's beautiful about the strategy behind it. You might have a dream. I love to ask, how old are you going to be in 10 years from now? And what do you want your life to see? Because a lot of us have a hard time creating a 10-year vision because that seems so far away. But when you
No,
take it to the number of your age and the number of the age of the people around you, your husband, your kids, your mother, all of these things, then it starts to bring more context to you. And you start to be able to say, this is exactly what I know, but there's also these dreams. How do all of these things emerge and come together? And that's
yeah.
where my strategy comes together and helping us figure out, okay, there's things that I want, but there's things that I know were going to happen. How do I get both? And I work with my clients to help us do that.
I love this so much. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So what is survival mode? What's the most dangerous thing about that? What does that look like?
I would say survival mode is putting your work over everything else. When
Mhm.
you decide that the only way that I can finally enjoy my life is if I work my ass off right now, and then eventually, once I get all this stuff, then I'll be able to rest.
Oh,
That
wow.
sounds like you're dragging yourself through the mud and
Mm,
hoping that you're actually alive to be able to rest later. That's the survival mode that a lot of times we don't even see it because we justify it. Well, and I'm going to tell you, it happened as when I was in corporate America. It happened when I was in college. It happened as an entrepreneur. It literally happens at every part in life if we don't actually realize it's the mindset behind it and the things that we're dressing it up as. So in my business, I can be like, okay, but I got to make more sales. And if I'm not making money, then, if I'm not doing the work, then nobody is making money. Before you know it, you don't work 16-hour days for however long. And your body is like, listen, if you want to keep working on this dream, you better figure out how to have a little bit of both because you can't continue at this pace. And so we do the same thing in our corporate job. When I finally make it to VP, then I can slow down. Or when I finally finish school or my law degree, I can slow down. But if you're not living your life as you do those things, before you know it, yeah, you accomplish that, but then you kind of get to that point and it's a lackluster because you're like, this isn't great as I thought it was going to be.
Absolutely. It makes me think about retirement. So many people wait until they retire, and it's painful to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Some people retire and they don't get to do the things that they believe they were because they're at the end already.
Yeah.
Um, I want to. You're still sounding a little far away, so I don't know if it might work better for you on the mic.
I'll just hold it.
Because you are dropping all these gems and juiciness, and I want to make sure that the people can hear you. Um, this is such an incredible life. Um, let's talk about the freedom-based business,
Mm-hmm.
right? What does that look like? What is that?
And I would say at this point, the freedom based business, like it can look a lot of different ways. It doesn't, I think we all think we have to start our own business. Um, I think now, as especially post pandemic, there's the beauty of being able to, you can be a contractor, you can be a freelancer, you can start your own business, you can do this in so many different ways. But I
Mhm.
think the heart behind it really comes behind what are the freedoms that I feel like my job is keeping me from having, whether it's time, money, location. What freedom do I feel like I'm missing out in the situation that I have now? And
Yeah,
figuring out how you can bring that into however you make money and taking it that way.
I love that. I love that. And I love that. I, I'm so excited. What happens when a woman tries to build a freedom-based business from fear, burnout, or urgency?
That you end up right back in the same spot that you were before. And that's why the strategy has to come behind it because I think a lot of times, and I'll say even for myself, we start our business out of desperation to get away from something else. But I will say desperation is maybe a good motivator. It's not a good inspiration to start something new. Like you still got to get the clarity and the understanding about yourself. Remember that tangibility that we talked about in the beginning of who am I? What do I actually want to give to the world? How do I want to give those things so that I can be paid in return for just being me? There's so much content about let me wake up and being paid to be me. Well, first you got to know who you are and who you want to give what you want to give away if you really want to build that life. And so a lot of times we skip that part and out of our desperation we just go straight to I want to make a business. And sometimes that works, but also sometimes it works and then it falls apart later because we just end up in that same survival mode cycle
Yeah,
that didn't actually give us the freedom that we wanted or the soft life that we thought it was automatically. Soft life, freedom, none of that comes automatically. You gotta make some shifts and transitions in ourselves to be able to make that something we can receive.
mm, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are the only one responsible for your happiness.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love all of this. I cannot get enough of this. Um, I have another question here. How do you coach women to design offers and systems that feel sustainable and not soul sucking?
hmm So I actually really like to start with the life side first, because we spend, most of us, I will say like 98.9% of us spend our time strategizing for our career, but we never spend our time strategizing for our life. And so then we end up deep in a career and we're like, man, how the hell did I get here? This was not what I thought I wanted. This is not what I wanted. And it was not because the career was bad. It was because you didn't strategize for the actual life that you wanted. And
Mhm.
so those, when you think about the life that you want, say you want to be a digital nomad, then it might not be best for you to be a product-based business. Or if you're going to be a product-based business, then you might want to consider, how can I do drop shipping so that I can still travel? And this is where the fun and the dreamer in me gets to come together and help you problem solve.
Yeah.
Okay, here are the different things that I want that I don't see how they fit together. How can I still make a life out of this, even though I can't, that person can't see how it fits together. And so, but you all, again, who am I and what do I want? You got to be clear with that first and foremost. And that's where we start with the vision. Let me get a really clear vision. And this is the other thing too.
Hmm.
If you don't have a stake in the ground, or you keep moving the stake in the ground, you're always chasing this imaginary end. And so you need the vision to create that stake in the ground so that you know what you're going after. Okay. And once you have a stake in the ground, then it's a matter of just, there's multiple paths to get there, just like we have, just like on a navigation. The
Hmm.
blue dot will go anywhere you take it, but it won't go to a specific place until you put the destination in the map. And we can always recalculate to get you back, to get you to that destination, but you've got to put a destination. So once you have the vision, then the systems, a lot of us, again, are really good at productivity. We will look at 20 million videos on YouTube on how to create time management and this, that, and the other. But
Yeah.
we don't really make time to look at, how do I prioritize rest? And not just boundaries, but how do I create boundaries that are systems that empower that rest, making sure we have regular systems that help us set ourselves up for rest. And yes, you're going to do work, because a lot of us are still passionate about work. But how do you make it so that both of those can happen, not just you focused on one? And
Yeah.
then once you have your vision and systems, then there's support, because we got a whole world out here that's still bearing down on us with toxic productivity and hustle culture and all of those things. But when you have other people around you that
Yeah.
say, you know what, I'm about this other life over here, it helps you stay committed. It helps us see past those situations where we're justifying working more. And we
Yeah.
get a little bit more inquisitive and strategic about finding another way to do that. So those are the three main things that we work through with my clients.
I love this. Their clients are blessed. So what are some of the things that the clients are saying? What's the transformation look like for them on the other side of that?
Yeah. So like one of my clients, Ashley, she came in, lovely, lovely human, had such a passion for her daughter, wanted to start a nonprofit, and yet she, every session for a while was tears, because she's like, I have all of these things that I feel like I should do, but there seems to never be enough time. I always feel behind. And then when I'm making time to do the nonprofit, I'm not making time for my daughter. When I'm not making time for my daughter, I'm making time for it. Just felt like there was never enough time in
Mhm.
life. And we had to step back and take this, after going through the framework, getting clarity on what life she wanted to live, building systems around it. We started small, because this is your life, has been doing this for however many years you've been around. And so we started with small actions, and then that snowballed. Now, listen, gotten rid of that career that was stealing life from her. Still
Ooh.
passionate about serving the community who she wanted to serve in her nonprofit, but found a different way to do it that actually allows her to be fully herself. And also, like for her daughter, she had the pressure to feel like, I got to give my daughter the things that I didn't have, but also just realizing
Mm.
that was something in her. So healing so much in her So that, listen, girl, your daughter is 5. You could take time for yourself. And so learning to take time for herself, putting herself first, so many beautiful, amazing experiences that I've been able to walk through with her.
I love that for her and for you. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness. This is so wonderful. Let's talk about you a little bit more. What was the turning point in your life when you knew softness had to be non-negotiable for your own freedom?
When my cortisol levels were high and I was having heart palpitations, and I was like, am I dying? what what is going on right now? I'm too young for this. And it was, I had already started my business at that point. So my business was slightly different in the context that I brought it into now. But I love how when we can use our story and how it continues to evolve, and that's how we help our clients. This all comes from my experience. I have literally
Right.
done all of these things. But yes, as I realized that my body was now screaming at me,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you have to do something different. And lo and behold, for me, trips are always transformational. So I went to go visit a friend in Costa Rica. I went for 2 weeks, and I loved it. I literally, the heart palpitations went away. The food was great. Like all of these things shifted, and they were like, "Hey, why don't you just stay?" And that was during the pandemic. I went home, put my stuff in storage, and went back for a year and lived in Costa Rica for a year.
I love Costa Rica. Now, that's one of my favorite places of all.
Mm-hmm.
Costa Rica.
And so
That I love that.
it's
So you stayed in Costa Rica for a year.
mm-hmm.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I
And so
love
it was just this refreshing, again, I've found growing up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I would have never even imagined that water and palm trees were my thing. But now, like, when especially whenever I need refreshment, I take myself to somebody's beach for at least a couple months. And then obviously I go back because I have goddaughters and other family that I want to be a part of their life. But
Yeah.
that change, understanding that this was something that allowed me to reset my rest, is something that I think we should all do on a regular basis. More different than a vacation. Not quite it's more than a vacation, but like this reset, getting into a place that really refills us, and then getting back.
So that leads me to another question on the refill, because what you're saying and the amount of time that you took sounds like a sabbatical to me. But what does it really take to get in a rhythm of refresh so that you're more here than like,
Yeah. So the way I do it, I set it up with 16 weeks in my program, and then we do a trip at the end. Because you, within those 16 weeks, we have already started making the little shifts. I don't believe in ripping off the band-aid. Like if you think I'm gonna just cold turkey stop being a workaholic, you
exactly.
are kidding yourself. I didn't cold turkey stop being a workaholic. And some days those things even try to pull me back. So you have to have those tools that you
Mm-hmm.
can use on a regular basis. And so through those 16 weeks, clients will see change start to happen throughout that time. And then the reset, then, taking that trip, it doesn't have to be as long because you've been already doing the work. You've been seeing, like a lot of mine, it was like post because I was figuring it out as I go. But now I help clients preempt that and take the steps before that. And so then through that time, you're already seeing your priorities shift. You're already seeing the way you make decisions shift. You're already seeing you better be able to enact your boundaries. And it's not even boundaries with other people, it's boundaries with ourselves more often than not. Because we'll tell
I
somebody no, and then we'll go back and do it.
I don't even like using the word boundaries.
Mm,
I call it getting your needs met. Boundaries
come
are for
on.
you. They help you
Yes.
get your needs met
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like most people don't really understand what that is. But then when you reflect it back,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, that's how I do it. Letting my no be my no and my yes be my yes.
Yes.
Like,
And learning to stop doing things out of obligation. Like we
mhm.
do a lot of things because we feel obligated to do it, not because we want to do it. And when I take that back to my relationship with the Lord, I was like, listen, if I keep doing things out of obligation, I'm never allowing myself to do it out of love, because love and fear can't happen at the same time. So you
Yeah.
got to let go of that fear and that obligation, because we're afraid that if we don't do it, that person won't love us, or some kind of fear is coming up with that. So we're letting go of that obligation as well, and transitioning into like, here's what this looks like. I think I lost track of the question. I got excited.
You're all to the good. I'm smiling and getting so excited to see you operating in your power and your mesh connect, your work like that you were called to do. It's beautiful to see in a sister that looks like me.
Yes, come
Love
on.
that. I love that so much for you. I absolutely love it. And I feel like I'm overusing the word love, but I don't. You know what I mean? Let me see what else I have for you. If your younger self could see you now living this version of your life, what do you think she'd say?
Wow, that's a great question. I think that she would say, we always knew we could do something different, but we never knew that it would look like this. We never knew it would be this good. Like we always believed in the more. But it's hard sometimes when the dealt that you've received, you're like, I can only dream but so far, which is the other reason why when I work with my clients, we only do a 10-year vision. We talk about lifetime, but I know that those things, your dreams, the things that you want are going to evolve as you continue to get to know yourself, as you get to continue experience yourself and see what else is out there in the world. Some of the old things
And you
that you
dry up
thought
your
you wanted.
dreams, huh?
And sometimes it's good to dry up old things and allow new things to bloom. And I that has been like a beautiful process. And so I think she would say, like, I mean, I knew things were going to happen, but this is better than I imagined, which is a beautiful thing to
I love this so much for you. Let me ring the bell on all of that. Oh my goodness, it's so doggone rich. You've lived a beautiful journey thus far. I would imagine that maybe you found some things that really helps and support each other that help that change your life. Maybe book, podcast, any recommendations you have for the women out there um, to share
say.
and
I
how
have
you
such a
made
big
your
list.
way on this journey.
Yes, girl, I have such a big list. I just finished reading The Big Leap. That was good. Good to Great was good for me. Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. Still Like an Artist was good. Listen, oh my gosh, so many different books. Start with Why. uh I recently thought about making a book list because there's just so many books. Oh, We Should All Be Millionaires was good. I'm reading Future Millionaire
Yeah,
now. Profit First was good. Listen, girl, so many books.
me too. Yes. I did the money camp, like all the things.
Yes, yes. So
Okay.
many, so many things. I was just to name a few.
Yes, so we'll get a collection of what you have so we can share with the folks in the description. This was really, really, really rich. Is there anything else you want to share that I did not ask?
Oh, that's a great question. Let me see. We went through so many amazing things. I don't have anything particularly coming to mind, but I will say this. I think the biggest thing is, even like the other day, I was talking to someone who was interested in my services. And then she said, I don't think I deserve to have support yet. And I said, wait a minute.
Hmm.
You think you need to drag yourself through the mud before you deserve to get help, but this is supposed to keep you from dragging you through the mud. She was like, I know it sounds convoluted, especially when you when you say it back to me, but yes. And so I think if nothing else, so many of us are waiting for a permission slip to not have to do this alone, to give up on this hyper independence, to stop being a superwoman, to stop being a strong Black woman. And I'm like, hey, here's your permission slip. Like,
Mhm.
you don't you don't have to do that. That's not what makes you a woman. That's not what makes you valuable. Somebody else told me I have to make like I have to make more money than my husband for me to be valuable. And I was like, you got to take care of everybody to really it's some of the things that we have allowed to be
Yeah.
the mindset. I want to give us permission to let go of that and allow so that we can actually get to this place of living in flow and being nurtured and centered and truly being cared for. Those are the three things. I'm all about helping us to become a rested queen. And those are the three like manifestations of it, like living in flow, being nourished and centered, meaning like uh putting us first, but then also physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally nourished, okay? And
Mhm.
then cared for, allowing other people to show up for us. And sometimes we're so busy rushing to the front to do the thing first that when somebody tries to show up for us, there ain't no room because we did already rushed up there. Like, I want us to change that perspective. So, this is a permission slip to allow yourself to be rested and to be cared for.
Ah, Shay, sign Rashidat. Woo! Because I said so. I love, love, love this. Well, I have one final question for you.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me?
You know, I love so much about what you do with as a DisruptHer. When you think about um how you show up in the world and the what would be like the three characteristics. This is always my favorite question. The
I
three
had a feeling you were going to
characteristics.
ask me that because I was thinking about that too.
Yes.
My three characteristics. I'm a warrior,
Mm,
WARROR, for things that I believe in and the people that I believe in. I will
yeah.
war for you and
Mm,
myself. So I show up in that way. I am a healer. I heard you mention
mm,
your vegan journey. I've also been vegan. I'm more plant-based now. That I started back in 2015, and it is a journey.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's gonna look like this. It's gonna look like
Yeah.
this. It's a journey because of so many things that happen with the dynamics with food and things, and you start realizing. And I was understanding my body and all of those things, so I know now how to heal myself. I identify as a sacred woman. I went through a rites of passage program with Queen Afua in the 12 gateways, which
Mm.
is based on Kemetic Nubian philosophy to figure out who the hell I was.
Come on.
And it taught me so many, helped me see so many things of myself in the mirror and the reflection of the other women that were in the program. And so I wear this ring to identify in that so I would never forget who the hell I am.
Yeah.
So I know that I'm a healer. And I would say the other is nurturer.
Okay.
I'm a connector also. You only gave me three. But connector is probably really the really, really, really big one, but most people already know that. But the deep ones, I'm identifying, I would say, and would be nurturer. And
Yeah.
I didn't know that about myself. I was doing it, but I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know why I was doing it.
Yeah.
Um, and now I own it. I'm good with that, all to the good. It looks like I'm frozen. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
Okay. For some reason, looking at the board, it looks like I'm frozen. And yeah, I'm a nurturer. I own that. Um, it just comes naturally. I would say that these things that are just innately in me, and it just happens
Mm.
on autopilot. Sometimes I don't even know and realize that it's happening. I just go into woo. I think
Yeah.
woo is a combination of all of them.
Yes, yes, yes. Which then reminds me too, or makes me think about there's obviously things, and you've kind of alluded to a couple of them, things that you would in spaces that you're about disruption. So I guess what would you say is the top ways that you empower people to disrupt? in the broadest sense.
The top ways is creating safe spaces for them to be able to be themselves. The woman that I
Mm-hmm.
serve is Miss I got time for everybody except for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I create spaces for her to be herself and know who she truly is at her true essence. And then
Yeah.
that makes room for everything else.
Yeah.
Um, for her to fully be seen, heard, known, validated, mirrored, witnessed, like all of the things. Use her power, use her voice, take up space, right? Um, and it's so powerful. One of my biggest testimonials that I'm most proud of, um, she actually was my very first life coaching client. I'm a holistic certified life coach, and I'm also a certified business Hello Seven business coach, business mindset and money coach. And in her testimonial, she said I was the answer to a prayer that she did not know she needed to
Mm.
pray.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like mind blown that I get the honor of being able to take the lived experiences that I've had and know that they weren't happening to me, they were happening for me to be able to serve women in this way.
Yeah.
Just like blows my mind when I get to focus on the serving and the work. And I see that in you. And
Yeah.
it's such a
Thank you.
beautiful reflection.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah, I
feel
hope
that
I
same
answered
way
the
when we talk.
question.
Oh,
Yeah,
you did.
because
You did.
I'm like, what was the question?
That's because we get on a roll and then we're like, wait, what a
Yes. Well, it is a conversation, darling. It
minute.
really
Yes.
is. And it
I
just
love
flows.
it.
I love this.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. And then I think it's so cute because you got questions. I love that because usually I only get one question. So yeah,
Well, I
it's
was like,
awesome.
listen, this your flow. I don't want to throw your flow, but yes, I will sure enough start asking questions.
I love it. I love it. That's what we're here for. It's a conversation. So it is.
Yes.
I love that. Do you have any more questions for me?
I mean, I can go if you want me to, but I can stop too. It's
This
up to
is
you.
your world. It's all about you.
I think the other thing, I love when you talk about, okay, setting that space and also being uh, mm, setting that space for her to be her most authentic self. When you think about what kept her from being that person, like what do they usually say when they're like, this is what was in my way? And a lot, again, like a lot of us don't know at the beginning, but they figure out later. But what did that look
I think and what am I saying? I think I know better than that. I
like? Mm-hmm.
know for the reality after they've gone through the journey and the transformation, the shift that they start having and realizing is it was from maintaining the status quo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That I thought I was supposed to do this. I thought I was supposed to show up this way. And it's like once it a part of it is in your journey that you shared where you realized and gave yourself permission that you could have this mindset shift and what do I really want. That's what they start
Mm-hmm.
realizing, right? We go through a vision exercise. I have a tool called the clarity calculator that
Mm-hmm.
helps them really consider the cost, identify what are the things that I really really want. And I think there's about 12 or 13 areas, right? Their home space,
Mm-hmm.
um, like experiences that they want to experience and all of those things. And then when we really total up the costs, like financially, uh, the intangibles and all of those things, they start realizing, well, oh wow, I can have that like right now. I ain't
Come
gotta be
on.
I,
Right.
I ain't gotta wait. And
Yeah.
and then that just like explodes and trickles into so many things. One of my business clients, so with the clarity calculator, it helps you ideate, right? So she like pulls that thing out every chance that she gets when there's an idea or there's a thought, because now you can like figure out what that really looks like and how it supports your freedom, how it
Mm-hmm.
supports getting your time back, how it supports having that soft life. So there's so much correlation in what we do. My bestie, like I can take things and I turn them into a system. I
Mhm.
systemize them. And
Yeah.
so she that clarity calculator, she's like, oh, I always got to go update my calculator because I got this idea and I got that and all of the things. And I love that. Just to see how it helps change these lives. I think I answered. What was the question again, girl? Because I'll get on a tangent too.
No, that was good. That was good.
Yes.
That was good. Yes. Like, just what does it look like and how are you, making that space for them to become their authentic self? So, yeah.
Giving them the resources and the tools to fish, right?
Yeah.
Like letting them know
Yeah.
and be empowered enough that I got this, that I don't have to do the things. They get their permission slip signed by me, Selina, the motherfucking disruptor coach, because we got shit to do,
Yes. Yes.
right? Um, I don't know if I'm in trouble for that or not, because I don't usually go that hardcore. But while you asking, let me just tell you,
Just
um,
go with
yes. And
it.
so disrupting the status quo, I think that is the biggest thing because they realize they've been living a life that wasn't designed for them at all. At
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when you think back to your own journey and that, like, when, like, around what time of your life did that transition happen for you? And what made you be like, oh, like, yeah, this needs to happen?
Um, I probably was always like that at in my life. I feel like it was things that happened to me that created me um shrinking.
Mm,
And interestingly enough, um I I don't know that I was always a Christian. I was always
mm,
around religious practices and things of that nature. My grandmother, I grew up Pentecostal. I married a Baptist preacher's kid, and I also was married to a Jehovah's Witness, and so I was always around religion. And then when my son went off to college, I felt something was missing,
mm,
and I I actively pursued it, right?
mm. Oh,
Like
yeah.
what's going on here? And it turned out to be non-denominational because then it was just kind of focusing on the work. So um it helped me. I think what happened in that space, as I unpack it with you now, was that I was over here on the left, and then it took me way over here on the right.
Mm,
And so
mm-hmm.
I was doing what I thought that version of it was,
Yeah.
to be Christian and all of those things. And I feel like that somewhat put me in a cage.
Mm-hmm.
It put me in a
Mm-hmm.
mask. It put me in the showing up,
Yeah.
and all of the things, right? And and then when I went through a period where I became lost from myself and I could no longer hear God's whisper. I heard somebody say that, and now I'm owning that because it's that small, still voice, right? When I
Yeah.
could no longer tap into my intuition and my spirit and what that was, um, it was from doing all of those things, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I um I asked myself, I had to go inward because I was lost. I didn't know who I was. Like, how did I get here?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's when I got still and quiet and went inward. I had created a war room prayer closet, I'll call it, depending on the day. And I would just lay there in total silence.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed to tap in and hear that voice again. And I started asking questions. How did I get here? And it got really clear, that part of it was doing all those things. I wasn't present
Mm.
in my own life,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was it. So I think 4 is our limit. The bonus. I don't want to keep you here all day, but this was good. I appreciate the questions,
Yeah.
right? As the host, um, yeah, I don't get a lot of questions, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you answering that call.
Yeah. Well, we'll
Ask
have to do that again, a different conversation. I'll ask you all the
absolutely.
questions.
Yeah, I love anytime, girl. You know, I'll show up. Is there anything else that I did not ask that you at this time would like to share? What you got going on? You got new
Yes, I was
first, what you sharing with the people?
yes, I was getting
Where
ready
can
to
we
say
find
that.
you?
Yeah. So the main thing you want to know, there's two main places to find me. You'll want to find me on YouTube, and that'll be at Your Dream Strategist. And then also I'm on TikTok and Instagram at Your Dream Strategist as well. The I have an amazing program called Meant for More, and it is a combination of coaching and a retreat experience over 16 weeks where I help you trade in burnout for alignment. You know, let's let go of all of the things that make us feel like we should, and actually create a life of alignment that we love. And that soft life becomes the product on the other end. And if you're like, but I don't even know, like, I'm still needed to be tangible in my mind what this soft life is.
Yeah,
I've created a beautiful little assessment called What's Blocking Your Soft Life. And you can go ahead and take that assessment at bit.ly/soft life score. And it's really short, 9 questions, 2 minutes. You'll have a pretty good assessment of what's missing and some actions to take to start helping you fill in those blanks and start this journey to create that rested queen in yourself that you deserve to be, that alignment.
I love this so much. That's fantastic. We're going to have all of the links in the description box for you all to find her and take the quiz. Wow, and meant for more. You're absolutely meant for more. That is our time. I thank you all for being here. Until the next time, I want you to take good